Hello, I'm Robert, and this is to help you. This is a story that is scaring people, but there's nothing to be scared of at all. When I say mysterious object, unlike anything astronomers have seen before, they have professional press writers nowadays, and they make it seem very interesting. But, well, it is of interest for geeky astronomers, but it's really a more accurate statement would be a slightly different version of an object that is very well known. And there's some mysteries about it. That'd be a much more accurate description and completely harmless. So, what it is, it's probably a neutron star. When you have a star rather bigger than our sun can't go supernova, it can't explode, but a bigger star can explode at the end of its life. And then this has already happened long ago, thousands of years ago, maybe millions, I'm not sure how long. And then this a previous star exploded and then threw off quite a bit of its mass. It explodes when it runs out of fuel. Then what's left collapses. And our sun, when eventually it reaches the end of its life, billions of years in the future, not something that's going to happen in your lifetime, not something that's going to affect you in any way whatsoever, then it collapses to very compressed, fairly ordinary matter, a white dwarf, and just carbon and oxygen and stuff like that, depending on what size of star it is. But when you've got a much bigger star, then it collapses. What is left is so heavy, and remember it's not burning fuel anymore, so there's nothing to sustain it, that it collapses, it compresses so much that the individual atoms compress into neutrons. So atoms are made up of protons and electrons, but if you could put them on or in a neutron star, then the gravity is so strong that the electrons and protons can't hold it. The electrons can no longer orbit the protons, and they just become neutrons. It's very, very compressed, and being so compressed, they can store an awful lot of thermal energy, got a huge amount of heat capacity. So they start off very hot, and they cool down very, very slowly. And then, so they've got no new source of energy. That's the main point, the reason I was explaining all that. They can't explode, they've got no fuel, they're just embers that are slowly cooling down. Trillions of years, much more than that, it will take them to gradually cool down. And the magnetic fields lead to them giving off radio waves, because something spinning produces radio waves. And these certain kind of spots on the sun, like star, like you see there, they produce these beams, these little beeps. The very first pulsars were discovered, which was Jocelyn Bernal Bell, and originally, then they thought that they were maybe little beeps from extraterrestrial people, except that they then found another one in another part of the sky, and then another, and they thought, there's no way. You have three different extraterrestrials all producing these very strange beeps. Why would they do that? Very inefficient way of communicating. So then they discovered there were these stars, and they found out more and more about them. And so this was actually a woman discovered these as well. I think she's an undergraduate. Really quite an exciting discovery to make. There she is, Dr. Hurley Walker, and so she's the one who discovered this. And that's the telescope, a very strange telescope, because it's not optical, it's detecting radio waves. And and that's what they discovered. So this is where it is. There we are, the night sky, or Milky Way, as you might see it in a very dark night. Except you never see it as bright as that, because they've really brought up the brightness of the Milky Way. But that's where it is. This goes all the way across the sky from one side to the other, and that's where it is. And it's very, very far away. Imagine, you talk about 3-league boots, but imagine with every stride, you could go all the way around the Earth 5 times, just with one stride. That's how far you could go. Now imagine you continued walking for 4,000 years. That's how far away this star is. It's 4,000 light years away, and that goes around the Earth about 5 times a second. So that's how far away it is. Very, very far away. It can't harm us in any way. And as I said, it's gradually cooling down. It's losing energy. It's producing these radio beeps. They've been producing these radio beeps all your life, and lots of other pulsars have as well. Absolutely normal. Just part of the radio background. So there's nothing there to be scared of. So it's probably a pulsar of neutrons. So, right, there are these several kinds of pulsars. You've got the millisecond, you've even got sub-millisecond pulsars. You've got the most to less than a second. But, and some of them are magnetic, very strongly magnetic. They come from particular kind of stars. When they collapse, they're just very magnetic. And the reason they are so fast is, you've seen skaters, when they bring their arms in, they speed up as they're spinning. In the same way, as a star reaches the end of its life, all its fuel runs out, and it explodes, and because of its core suddenly collapses, and then the rest collapses in, then it bounces off, aided a bit by the neutrinos. And as it collapses, then it gets faster and faster and faster. Any spin it had, and all stars spin a bit. And so, as it, so they spin very fast. So the one surprising thing about this pulsar was how slow it is. Now it's not the slowest pulsar ever discovered. The slowest pulsar was less than, it takes nearly 7 hours between pulses. For some reason, the press release doesn't mention that, and the stories don't mention that. But so it's not the slowest known pulsar, but it's for a different reason, I think. They don't really know yet why. They have a good idea why it's so slow. They think it's so. The other one that was something to do with a surrounding disk that slowed it down. But this one, it's a magnetar, and that means it's got a very strong magnetic field, and they tend to be slower, and usually several seconds rather than sub-second. But this one, it seems to be spinning once an hour and beeping 3 times every hour. So that's the puzzle. And well, that's not really the puzzle, because they were expecting stars like this. They had predicted that there would be some magnetars that were as slow as this. The puzzle was that they predicted them to be very faint and be quite hard to spot. But this particular magnetar, if that is what it is, they've still got quite a few observations to do before they realise that it really is are sure it really is a magnetar. So it could be a white dwarf, and it could maybe be something else. But they're not talking about something scary. So the most likely thing is it's just this magnetar that they already predicted, and for some reason it's a bit brighter than expected. It's more efficient at converting magnetic energy into radio waves than they expected. That's the story. That's the entire story. So here we are. here we are. It's a type of slowly spinning neutron star that's been predicted to exist theoretically. But nobody expected to directly detect this, because we didn't expect them to be so bright. Somehow it's converting magnetic energy to radio waves much more effectively than anything we've seen before. So that's the mystery. That's all. Why is it converting magnetic energy into radio waves quite so efficiently? And someday we'll find out. But you don't need to panic that we don't yet know exactly how this particular object is converting its magnetic field into radio waves. I mean, it's got plenty of magnetic field to convert into radio waves. It's just doing it a bit more efficiently than we expected, and that's it. And for geeky people, they sort of wonder what is it doing? How precisely is it converting magnetic waves into radio waves? There'd be many ways it could do it, but how exactly is it doing it? If you're intrigued, you can go and visit this press release and listen to our talk and find out more about it. That's the supercomputer they used to help find the observations, and that's a future telescope. That bit's already built, I think, and they hope to build that and then all the rest of it in the future to help find more of these objects. That's it. So let's hope you're a bit less scared. There's nothing to be scared of. It's just a fun discovery of geeky interest.